Do you have any thoughts on people who, maybe are racing their first race at like 17? The typical story is I've been riding since I was 3. I rode a motocross, a motorcycle before I rode a bicycle, But when you do have people that get into racing pretty late, and now I feel like the pro age, at least the winners, the age is going up. I mean, like people that are 17, 18 that are racing for the first time, should they just not bother?
No, I mean, I would say it's going to be a lot harder for you to make it,
Harder to get the attention of the young,
I mean, If you've never raced and you're lining up at 17, the chances, you go back to like McGrath that, rode the C class and, was a late starter, but he had such a BMX background, right? So, I mean, why you never know. You can't ever say that person's not going to make it or this person's not going to make it. I've seen people that, have gotten so much better than I ever thought they could, from seeing where they started to where they are now. So you can never limit somebody on a dream or something that they want to do, but the odds aren't in your favor to make a career out of it the later you do start.
Well, probably like as you get into it, your goals will shift. Like Eli Tomac is how old? 31?
Yeah, right
at 30,
yeah.
Somewhere in there. If you're racing for the first time at 17, you're probably not going to win as much as Eli has won by the time you're 30, right? Like you have to redefine your goals a little bit. Doesn't mean that you couldn't be a professional and line up and race a Supercross.
Yeah, you might not win as much by 30 as he's won when he was 17.
Yeah.
But I think no matter what, when you start something, you might have goals, you might have dreams, but everybody that starts, I started racing. I didn't think about becoming a professional when I was starting to ride a dirt bike.
No, you just love to ride.
Yeah, so I think that's why everybody gets into it, and then you change your goals as you go. And I don't think there's ever too late of a time to get into it. Whether you're 10, 15, 17, or 25.
Yeah, I feel like there's a time when your parents kind of sit you down almost because like you watch the guys race on TV, and even as a little kid, you're like, that's what I want to do. And when I grow up, I want to be a motocross racer, even though at that age you like have literally no idea what that means or what goes into it, but you just know like that's what I want to do. That's what I like to do, and it's fun. Then your parents almost like sit you down when you reach a certain point and like, okay, are you serious about this? Are you all in on this? And that changes the course of how you view the sport. Depending on what age it happens. And some people it happens later, but not to say like just because you didn't start riding at age 4 doesn't mean you should stop riding. It doesn't mean you don't have any chance to make it. Just
no, and I'll build off that a little bit. Even at MTF, we try to make the starting age around 12, 13. So that's getting. A lot of riders now have a lot of experience. We don't do 50s or very minimal 60s, mostly only through the camp side, just because, Colleen and our beliefs, and she's brought that up that, pulling, you bring a 65 here at a young age, at 10 years old, 9 years old, 8 years old, a lot of time, most of the time, that's going to separate the family, That's hard for a 9-year-old, I don't necessarily think you get burned out on the work as so much, where's mom, where's dad, then there's maybe a brother or sister, or 2 brothers and sisters that they're also pulled away from. So, too young can be a bad thing as well. Being on a dirt bike, having fun, I think is the most important thing at the really young age. And that's my personal opinion,
Yeah. No, I think so too. I mean, there's a lot of different perspectives out there, but there is pretty good literature that shows that people who specialize in a single sport before the age of 14, the rate of burnout ends up being a lot higher. That's why we see so many people retire at age 27 or 28. I think we're seeing a shift in that now, which is really cool. I think that we definitely need more of that shift. But just kids waiting until, after 65s to come to a facility full time is going to give them a chance at a long career rather than like a super successful and super short career.
Yeah. And like you said, the shift is going later, but the shift is also going later to when the riders are making it. Yes, you've got the Hayden Deegan, the Jet Lawrence, that they're the few that are the young ones that are making a statement, the Chase Sexton and, the Roxon and, but there's been a lot of amateurs that at a younger age have been one and done, or their 2 or 3 year career, and they've been pulled away, from the Baileys to the Falks to the Cantrells, and a lot of investment from the factory side on some of those kids, and pulled that shift. And the teams and the riders are so much experience, the bikes are so much faster, they're going so fast now that it's hard for a 16, 17, 18-year-old to take that all in and to jump in that guns blazing, and be able to manage all that.
Yeah, you look at even like a guy like AC. I mean, when he started racing professionally, he wasn't even finished at puberty. He looks like, you put the two of them side by side, and you almost don't even think they're the same person.
Yeah. I mean, he was so little, and then he hit his growth spurt. I think after he was hurt,
he was young enough. His shoulders kept popping out. He just literally wasn't done growing, and he was demanding a professional grade athlete out of himself. It was amazing.
And a few things went in his favor. I know before the season, Martin Davalos was his teammate, and and not getting this from Martin, but people talking, before the season, he was struggling so bad, and then he goes out there first race and he wins. Like, he was struggling, but then he's the best, and then he's 3 of 5. I think he won 3 of 5 races, and the other 2 he was on the podium before he hurt his shoulder. It's like, this guy doesn't seem like he was struggling, and sometimes it's just like we were talking about before. You go to the races and somebody else shows, he had so much dominance as an amateur that just came out. That's kind of all he knew, and he got a good start, and the track kind of worked in his favor. The whoops weren't huge, and so many things kind of just guided him. Martin crashed, and there was some things that just aligned, and he got his win, and it kind of started that path.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the MX Mastery Podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a rating and review on the platform you're listening on. This helps the podcast find other people that are just as passionate about moto as we are. I'll see you guys in the next episode.